All right, we live. What's going on, family, man? It's been a long time. It's been a blessing, man. I tell you what, man, I miss you guys, man. It's been, what, 3 or 4 weeks, Miss Addie, since we've done anything. Hey, sometimes you gotta take a sabbatical, man. You just gotta take a break. It's been a lot of pressure, a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff going on in the world, but we are still keep pumping strong. Why? Because we have faith. That's the bottom simple line, man. We have faith in what we do, and we love what we do. But we have, man, I'm telling you, I'm so honored, man. I have 3 beautiful women on this thing with me today, man. I'm chilling, y'all. I'm in my element. I'm in my element. Y'all don't even know it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look, check it out. I'm gonna let everybody introduce themselves before we really get into the show, y'all, so we can let you know who you're talking to. And I want them to really emphasize what their business is, because this is a platform to build everybody up, man. Always, always, always. We show love. We have faith in what we do, and we love what we. Hold on one second. All right, had a little glitch in the stuff right there, but yo, we rocking and rolling. So Miss Addie, as always, Mama Addie Truth, y'all know that's my heart right there.
Listen, the son I didn't have, but just as precious. Thanks. I am the educator, and let me very briefly say that my passion right now is educating you and the world about Black history. Have a podcast, No Black History, at patreon.com, and race relations. I've got a course on udemy.com, udemy.com, understanding race relations in America. If we had the answers, we wouldn't have the problem. And look for my book coming out next month, Homeland, My Place Called Down Home. And that's what I'm about. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, whichever one wants to go second. We got Elizabeth and Anita on this bad boy. We got One Body and Racial Coalition. Which one? Y'all choose. Everybody good. Let's go get it.
Anita, feel free to jump right in.
Okay. So I am Anita M. Johnson, and I am one half of One Body Movement. My cousin, Zeltina O'Neill, she is under the weather tonight. So I am on today representing us. We are a North Carolina chapter. Our goal is to move to other states. Right now, what we're doing is we're trying our best. I'm not gonna say trying, we are connecting. We are connecting to different networks that are doing awesome things in the community. We have some things under our belt. We've only been in existence for, it will be a year in May. The George Floyd murder, I'm gonna say it like it is. It really electrified us in our spirit, because she has a boy child. I have a girl child. And so she was really moved by that, and she felt like she needed to do something. And because we are so close, it really did touch me as well, because I have brothers and nephews and cousins and so on and so forth, and friends. And I wanted to do something as well. So we decided to create One Body movement. And we have done things like marching downtown. Fred has come and he has helped us with that, One Blood, and praying while we do that. We believe in biblical foundation. And we have also went out to the community and fed the homeless. We also connect with different groups to see what they need. And we just go into our, pockets and we just give what is needed. And so we like to call ourselves the balm of the community, but it is our desire to spread not only the gospel of love, but to also spread the gospel of unity, equality, and get some of this conversation started so that we can begin to see change. We believe that if we're not at the table, then we're not part of the conversation. So it is my greatest pleasure to be here. And in my career, I always have to put this plug in, if you don't mind, Mr. Fred Foreman. I am also a more than a life insurance agent. I like to call myself a community ambassador. I am one who does financial planning using life insurance, filling in the gaps where people do not really know where they are going to fill those gaps, with and how they fill those gaps. And a lot of people don't believe that life insurance can be used while they yet live. And so it is my goal to make sure that we utilize life insurance to have a means of generational wealth, and also have a means of creating some things for our family and leaving legacy behind. So I'm just pleased to be here, and I thank you so much, Fred. I know my cousin is elated as well. She's probably gonna, if she can, look on, but we thank you so much for the invitation, and we hope that you bring us back.
Amen. Amen. All right, Elizabeth.
All right, it's tough to go after you two ladies, but my name is Elizabeth McCullough. I am the founder and chairperson of the Racial Equality Coalition based out of Clayton, North Carolina. So we're a local community organization, and similar to you, Anita, we kind of got started out of the unfortunate incident surrounding George Floyd. I come from a family of activists. I am biracial, but my mom's side of the family is Black. And it's always been something that I've been educated on. It's always something that I've been passionate about. And it just so happened that after that incident, I had this desire and this need to make a difference in my community and to see what we could do to kind of move things forward, to bring equality about, understanding, and education is really what we're based in. So our goal is to bring more events to our community, things that are going to help educate people on different ethnicities, different cultures, different backgrounds, because I feel like a lot of hate that we see comes from ignorance and comes from just not knowing. And when we don't know something often enough, we fear it. And so, that's what we're trying to break down, those barriers and bring people together. We had an event last year voting in racial equality right before the elections, and that was great. We had some amazing questions for our panelists. We collaborate with, local leaders, religious leaders, but also town council members. It's just been a great experience so far, and we look forward to collaborating with more organizations like yours, Anita, and like with you, Miss Addie, and Fred Foreman's organization. It's been a blessing, and it's been amazing, actually. I didn't know when I started this how many of you were out there already doing the same thing, and it's been really encouraging and really, really an incredibly supportive community to be a part of, and it's just been a blessing. Other than that, I don't have a pitch for a personal business. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 3 kids, but prayers are always welcome, since I've started to travel down that road of homeschooling also, which is something I never thought I would do. And also caretaking, which is actually another reason why the Racial Equality Coalition and this topic is so important to me, because my mother, being Black, and she has early onset Alzheimer's. So being her caretaker and walking that journey with her and seeing the racism, the prejudice, and the bias that she faces in the healthcare industry, and what I've had to fight against in ways that might seem subtle to some, but that I've had to confront and be aware that I have to push even harder for her to get certain things that she deserves. So it's just something that is very, very dear to my heart. So thank you, Fred, for having me.
Oh, cool. I appreciate all y'all coming. It's an honor to have y'all on the show, man. It's a blessing. It is a blessing. It's a blessing. But look, let's get up in this bad boy, man. Y'all, I've missed it, so y'all know I'm a talker, and you know I love to talk. So I'm gonna get this in real quick, smooth, and we're gonna get this bad boy rolling, man. But check it out. Welcome to the Eye Opener Tuesday show, man. It's a blessing to have everybody listen to One Blood right now. We do so much powerful stuff, man, and I don't take it for granted because I love it. I enjoy making people smile with education. And I know it hurts from time, but when you think about the long run, it's the educated part that makes you live a lot better life, a lot stronger life. So stay focused in what you do. All right, man. It's gonna be a touchy show, straight up. So I want to show you guys two videos, and I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to share two videos, and then we're going to give the question out that we put on the flyer that we posted out through all the social media. And y'all feel free to comment, man, as we're going through, because this really is a touchy subject. I mean, serious up. It's something that need to be talked about, and we but not just be talked about, but we need to bring clarity and awareness to what is going on and figure out a solution for it. In the name, y'all ready? Keep
Ready.
Keep the smiles going. Y'all so beautiful. I like it. I love it. The whole world can see my everything I got going on. We're gonna make it happen though.
Has been fired and another is under investigation for a traffic stop where an Army lieutenant was pepper sprayed, handcuffed, and held at gunpoint. CBS's Jeff Pegues has the disturbing body cam video that the state's governor says left him angered.
Keep your hands outside the window. Pulled over because he had no visible license plate, Army Lieutenant Garan Nazario was clearly worried about what could happen to him if he got out of the car. I'm honestly afraid to get out. Temporary tags in Nazario's new SUV were taped to the back windshield, something the Windsor, Virginia police officers had apparently overlooked. Get out of the car now! I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated. Officer Joe Gutierrez, who was fired Sunday for his role in the incident, responds by using a phrase referencing death by electric chair. The situation escalates from there. I'm trying to breathe. That's up. That's the car now. Nazario eventually exits the SUV. It is a sad commentary that when a African-American male who is in uniform is still afraid to exit a car in today's day and age. Today, the Sergeant Major of the Army praised Nazario's professional response to the situation. I'm very proud of him, he wrote. Nazario, who was ultimately not charged, has filed a $1 million lawsuit. Wow. Alleging that the officers involved were racially biased and dangerous. There is more to Nazario's lawsuit. It also alleges that the officers involved threatened to destroy his military career if he complained. The town of Windsor says that it is retraining all of its officers and
all right, that was the first one, family. Let's go to the second one. We're gonna play this one.
Hey, get out of the car, man. You got a gun right there. Whoa! That's right. Get out. There are rights to this. You have a right to this. Get out. Right there. When my hands are up. My hands are up. No, you got it. You just got body cam. You have body cam, sir. You have body cam. You have body cam. You have body cam, sir. Yeah, I will send this dog on you. I will shoot you. No, don't. Come back. You put right your head. You have right to. You have right to. Don't you dare. You have right to. Don't you dare. You have right to. Yes, I do. Go. What I need to do. Let's go for a walk. Do some body cam. I need you to relax for real. I will shoot you. That's right. So second the body cam. You know this. Man rope it. You need to be able to go. I see that. You cannot go. It is constitutionally owned. I see that. You have a concealed carry. It's not concealed. You need to walk it right there. Don't do it. Don't do it. Please step out of the car. That's all right to do. Yes. Give me your weapons, please. Please not react civilly. Please not react civilly. You know this. Right on. You got cover? Yes, we do. No. Just please. You have body cam. Please. You have body cam. You know what's the No. You know that. Please. I need to get out. Get out. Hey, that's double blue, sir. Are you shoot me on double blue? Just relax. No, you just relax. Please get out of the car. There's rights to this. You know there are rights to this. Listen, we can figure this out. We can talk about this. I'll tell you right now. We can talk about it. You're not listening to us. You're not listening. You're not supposed to do that. All I'm asking you to do. You're violating my rights. Let go of me. You just put your hand on a gun, sir. Whoa. No. You pulled a gun on me unconstitutionally. Please. And I did not in response. We don't want to do this, man. Just get out of the car. I'm just asking. We'll get this figured out. Just come out and get out of the car. Release me now. I can't do that. Release it. I have Second Amendment rights. Okay. Just get out of the car. Come on, come back here. We'll talk about it. We'll get myself cast off, and you know that. We'll get this figured out. Don't do it. Please, just come on. Get out of the car. Just get out of the car. Just step out. No, just step out. Just step out of the car. Just don't do it. Get out of the car. You're not the blue. You know what's going on, right? Just stop. I got my take me to jail. Go back. You're obstructing. I can't. No, you're obstructing. You're pointing a gun at me, sir. Right on my license, right? Okay. Well, we have a body cam on this, sir. I'm just going to drive away. I'm not going to bother anybody. No, you're not. Don't do this. Don't do it. Don't.
All right, man. I tell you what, that's a deep one. That's a lot of emotion. That's a lot of emotion. A lot of different ones that flow through the mind, flow through the heart, spirit. It just it's actually prayerfully everybody in their lives. Everybody went home. That's the key. That is the key for to both situations. But it is disheartening to see the treatment in both situations. So the question of the day is it says, why does one exercise their training and the other exercise their power? And I'd love to start with you, Elizabeth, and see where your thoughts are coming out of seeing that. I like starting with you because you're coming from both worlds. And I don't mean that in no bad way, no disrespect.
Yeah, no.
But I love to see what your train of thought is.
Yeah, for me and my experience in my life is there's two things at play, right? There's what you actually are, what you identify as. Like I am biracial. I was raised by a Black woman. I identify as biracial. I've always just, that is what I am. I was raised by both of my parents. But on my mom's side of the family, seeing how they're treated differently than I am. And that's simply based on the way we look, right? Because as we know, biracial people can come in all different kinds of shades. Some maybe darker skinned, and their experiences are going to be different from mine. And it's not that necessarily we're different, it's just we look different. So how you look plays a part, you know, in all of this as well. You know, there's so many things at play, I think, in both of these videos. The one where the white gentleman in the truck, you know, and had the gun in the seat next to him. I'd be curious to know how long those officers have been on the force. You know, when we were last talking about it, the way they were speaking to him didn't sound like they were completely confident in how to handle the situation. Now, maybe they had been trained to do all that they could to de-escalate it, and maybe that was all part of their training. It's just the tone of voice in which they spoke indicated to me that there was some hesitation there. You can't help but wonder, had he been a Black man, number one, would he have even thought to behave that way? Right? Would that have even crossed his mind to even dare do what that man did? Would it have ended the same way, even with the same officers involved? You know, then you look at the other scenario and you think, you know, when I first saw it, I think I mentioned this before, the previous video that I saw of that, I didn't know why he was even stopped in the first place. The video that I had originally seen just cut right into the interaction, and it was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then when I found out that it all had to do with not having tags or not having his plates on, but that they were taped up in the back windshield, and that's what all of that was over. It wasn't like, you know, they thought he was somebody else or he had been speeding or anything crazy. It was all over plates. And the way that escalated was just astounding. I mean, it's absolutely insane to me. And then to have him very calmly, and I admire his ability to stay as calm as he did in that situation and still try to speak to the officers and understand what was going on and to continue to receive that hostility. I mean, in all honesty, what other conclusion can you come to besides this is racially fueled? You know what I mean? That this man, for whatever reason, does not like Black people, colored people, brown people, whatever. And this anger is being taken out on this young man. I know there's a lot of pushback on what might be happening in different scenarios, and there's usually a lot of things at play. But in that particular incident, it all seems to point to the same thing. It's just racism. And there was no other reason for that kind of behavior.
Indeed. I want to make sure that we, and you did a great job. I want to make sure that we, that this is not to dishonor or discredit any police officer that's out there. By no means, that's not what we do. This is a platform to build everyone up. So we definitely don't want to bring bad attention to or harmful attention to our officers, our law enforcement. We do love them. We don't love the actions of all of them, but we do love them in general. But I want to make 2 points. It's 3 actually, and just so we can be clear and keep focus on the show and make sure we get the mission right and the message out in the proper way. Like we said in the beginning, we're not out to hurt cops. The second one is to encourage them to still comply. Our people. That was a strong compliance. I'll be real honest and transparent. I love that brother. I'm telling you right now, I love that brother. That's a lot of training that needs to go forward with a lot of different people, a lot of different attitudes, including myself. I'm a warrior by trade. So, I mean, it's just natural. I'm bred that way. But I want Miss Anita to come in and hit that question. If you don't mind, why does one exercise their training and the other exercise their power?
Well, I think first of all, I think it's a great question because I do believe that based on a person's environmental upbringing, it does also trigger certain things in it, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. We have our own biases. We carry them with us every single day. And we're always judging, you know, even when we're walking, we're judging where to walk to, what to eat. And so it's hard for us not to judge a person by the way they look or by the way that we have been taught to see people. And so what I find, you know, with having law enforcement in my family, my brother is a lieutenant, and my cousins are one is a sheriff and one works with the Holly Springs Department. And so I have law enforcement in my family. So definitely I'm not ever going to talk against law enforcement, but just like in anything, you're going to have bad apples. You're going to have people that are going to slip through the cracks, and they are going to bring their biases, their judgments, you know, their upbringings, all of these things to the workplace. And it's unfortunate that these people are out here to protect and serve us, and they bring these things with them and don't know how to check it at the door. Which this, to me, both of these scenarios brought up and exposed. And I think that that's the good thing about this environment that we're in right now. It's exposing much. And so until we are able to not just have the conversation, but get it on video, as a lot of people are doing, being able to look at the two scenarios or any two scenarios and discuss it and be able to come to the table and say that systemic racism exists. You know, I believe that we can find some clarity around all of this, because there are people for some odd reason that believe that it doesn't. And as I was looking on that, I watched that before, you know, we came here together. And it was obvious that there was a certain type of judgment that came with the stop on I believe he was an Army individual, reserves. There was some judgment that came with that. They didn't have any discussion or conversation. It was like, shut that down. We don't want to have a conversation with you. And the gun is in my face. And he is sitting there, you know, going, how in the world am I protecting America and I am getting treated like this? Like, I have on my uniform. And I just sat there and I shook my head like, does it even matter? It doesn't, and it shouldn't matter. I mean, everyone should be treated the same way. And if you're going to stop me, you need to observe every single thing that comes along with that stop. Okay, why are you stopping me? If you're stopping me for not having tags, you need to look to see if there are tags before you bring out any tasers or guns or, you know, any of that stuff. So I didn't particularly care for that. And then when I look at the scenario with the guy, I believe that it's, and this is me playing angel's advocate. Okay. We as a people need to know laws. I saw that he knew the law. And when you know your rights, sometimes that does intimidate a person. Now, had he been Black and spoke about laws and his First Amendment and Second Amendment right, you know, would it have went differently? I don't know. But I do think that this is an opportunity for us to be able to share that part, that we do need to know our rights. We do need to know the law. We do need to know, you know, when someone is spitting some untruth to us. So I think that does also, Fred, have something to do with your question. Why does one use training? Why does one use, you know, their power and how they use it? Because it's also the way that we approach a situation. It's unfortunate that our Black men are dying in these streets. It's unfortunate that our Black women are dying in these streets. I sit back and I just shake my head at it all. It's really scary. You know, we can pray, definitely, but we definitely have to do some work, some grassroots work, you know, in our communities. And I think that we need to stretch our arms wide. Nations, you know, are feeling our pain. Nations are feeling our pain. And so, you know, if they're feeling our pain, we need to feel our pain together. And I think that there is definitely something that we can do about it. This is right here is a start, you know, having these kinds of conversations on Facebook and all these different places. This will definitely get people starting to talk about it, but we do need to move from the kitchen table and just get some things done, in the grassroots, because it's just sad. And it seems like it's happening like every day, because I think those videos that you showed, I'm not sure about the Caucasian gentleman, but I know that the Army gentleman, he was in that situation last week. And then, we had some other, some murders happen right before that. And it was like consistent right behind each other. And it's like almost like people, like the ones that are doing this are desensitized. They don't even care that this is being brought to the forefront. They don't care. And it's just really sad.
See. Miss Addie, you look like you about to feed us a meal.
Just add to the conversation. I have heard what these panelists have said, and it has enlightened me and inspired me with understanding, because the point is, we all see this from our racial perspective. Those are two excellent videos, because what it does is it highlights structure, racism, systemic racism in America. What we understand is, before any of these men in the video became officers, became a white man with a gun in his car, a military servant, they were individuals being taught how to perceive the other race. And so we're seeing the conclusion side. We're seeing how, if I'm raised a white man in America, I have certain power that I can quote the law. And no matter what you do, because I think I saw a gun pulled on him too, that I don't have to bow to you. I am a white man in America, and I will not be made to get out of this car with a gun over here. How many Black men have been killed because they thought they saw a gun? With a gun on the seat, and he says, and now I'm going to drive away. Goodbye. However, if you are a Black man, boy, raised to be a Black man, your Blackness supersedes your military uniform. Your Black training, how we are raising our sons, listen to the officer so you can come back home, which is very different from the white man's training.
Yes.
He held on to his power because America allows that. The Black man, a military servant, I don't know what else he is, husband, father, but he was able to buy that nice car, was on his knees on the ground. Can you imagine the white guy on his knees on the ground? How we are raised in America. And so we all play our roles. It is not lost on us that with the military young man, I believe that the officer was Hispanic. He had a name that suggested that he was Latino. So this is more about power and bias than color of skin. What you learn growing up that you act out upon as an adult. Because
absolutely,
when the government gives you a badge and a gun, they're giving you power to act. Training or no training. they're sanctioning you to act in a way that in your heart, I'm gonna stop this Black man for, oh, let's find something, I don't see a tag. That's the systemic racism that we're trying to understand.
Right.
And if we don't go back to our children and what they're hearing on television, what they're seeing in the classroom, what they're hearing in church, and Black people saying, yeah, Black people don't know how to act. What are we feeding people that is going to make them adults who act just like the people on the tapes? That's all I got to say.
You'd be tripping me out. Oh, yeah, say, hey man, I'm glad you had to say it. Look, I'm looking at something a little bit different. I look at the training. If you realize, you know, every time you go out like that, you got two officers, right? But one is in charge. So when we analyze it just a little bit, you have the one that's in charge that is acting out his power with the one with the Army lieutenant. And if you see the expressions of the young fella, in other words, this is how you treat them. You feel what I'm saying? That's the expression that I received from that leadership. On the other one with the white gentleman, the one that was actually holding the dog, he was the trainer. He was the lead man. So he was training the other guy. That's why he was telling him, no, step back, step back, step back. So who are you training for what situation? And how are you training them for that situation? So it's a lot dealing with, like you said, it's the raising, it's the coming up of the home, but it's also dealing with a whole lot of training for who and for what. And if we can press that on to our officers on a steady, consistent basis, who are you training for? I think the pickup would be a whole lot better for the teacher, for the treatment of us and our children. You know, I have two Black boys, and but them boys big now, but and two precious little girls. And I had an incident, and I'll be a little bit transparent. I had an incident where my wife went to a middle school, and she was parked a certain way. The officer asked her to move. Well, some dude was giving her a fit behind him, and I just so happened, to be on the way home, and the officer had, upset and whatnot, got her all disturbed. So she calls me up. She goes to the office, and by that time I got there. So my question was, where's the guy that gave you the disturbance, and where's the officer? Because I want the leader. Give me the horse. That's the one I want, because it's a training session that needs to take place, and I'm finna give it. So I immediately go across the street, because he's at the middle school, and my daughters go to the elementary school. The way the white gentleman handled that situation, honestly, was the same way I handled that situation. That cop really got up under my skin, and like he wanted to pull. So I had to reinstate some constitutional rights on my behalf to let him know, you're endangering me, so you're making me fear for my life. So guess what I'm going to do? You going to pull, and that's obsolete. But it's sad that we can't live that way, and it's very fortunate that I made it through. But I'm a warrior. I'm a little bit different, and I think different. But that warriorship can also leave me 6 feet under, depending on the training that individual has. And if we don't put this training, I talk to a lot of my buddies who are officers, and it's not that it's so much of bad people, it's bad training. The leadership, who are they going out with? There's scenarios where I got a few buddies who have amazing scenarios where they break people mentally down in a good way to make break the situation down, to dissolve the situation. It all goes back to training. Who is training you, and what are they training you for, to combat what and who? That's my take on that one right there.
You brought up something really, really important when you start talking about training. I was looking at the TV the other day, and they were talking about going a little deeper with the training. It's one thing to train, but do you have data that the training is actually working?
Yeah.
Like, how are they putting the training to, to the benefit of the community? And if it's not being done correctly, do you have data showing how to make it better? Because it's one thing to train, but if you don't know, like on a job, someone could train someone how to do a process. But if you don't have data that that process is being done correctly, how in the world do you know that that process works correctly? So even on jobs, they have people that sit side by side calling, they call it a shadow. They never seen the process before. They're just watching it to see if it makes sense to them. You don't have that in the policing, and it needs to happen. And I have a problem with this thing called reform. Why are we reforming something that's broken? We need to, we truly need to, me in my opinion, we need to dismantle it and bring it up again. Because to me, it needs to be uprooted. Like, something needs to happen to see if these people are fit to police and serve. You know what I'm saying? And I actually had a deep discussion some years back with an officer that did not know where policing came from. He just always grew up wanting to be a police officer. And I asked him, I said, real talk, do you know where it came from? Do you know how it derived? I mean, do you know the nature in which it was birthed? He said, no. I said, well, before I tell you, I want you to read on it. And so I sent it to him, and he wasn't happy because he didn't like the fact that I was calling it out. But I think that in order for us to talk about a thing, we need to know the history of a thing. And a lot of us don't know the history behind it. I don't, like I said, I have family members who are police officers. They are good men, and they don't like what's going on. But when they're not in their uniform, they're Black.
Right.
And
Yep.
so, the training issue is huge, Fred. It's huge. But they're not checking to see, once they're trained, is it actually working? Like, what they're training them to do, and are they taking them to the communities in which they serve?
Right.
Do you have anyone in your family or anyone that you actually interact with, other than the people in your community that you so-called service, that that's Black?
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many things that need to happen, as it relates to, and there's some actual biases among Black people. We do it to ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power side.
We do it to ourselves as well. So, it's big, but that training thing is huge for me, because
Yeah.
it's really, it hits the rule. Like, down here in Johnson County, they're looking for more police officers to
Mhm.
serve. I would be interested to know what that looks like whenever. I really would. What does it look like to actually go through that process? What do they do other than train?
I agree. I think that what goes hand in hand with the training is the transparency. That's something that, our organization here in Clayton is we're trying to form more relationships with our local police department, because there's a lack of transparency. So there's a lack of understanding, and it kind of goes back to that, right? Because when you don't understand something, you fear it. And, it's like we said, we're not against the police. There are, I have police officers in my family too, stretching back for several generations, very upstanding and incredible, selfless human beings. But again, that doesn't mean there aren't bad apples in the bunch. That doesn't mean that those people, like you said, we all come into every aspect of our life with biases that we've grown and established throughout our lives for different reasons, because there's so many different things that factor into how we become who we are. But, it's so easy when the police department is this little bubble all in itself, to be on the outside looking in, civilians who are being policed by these people and not fully understanding the laws, not fully understanding how they're supposed to exercise their power, because that's scary and confusing. I mean, these people literally hold your life in their hands, and you don't always know what's expected of you. You don't always know why certain things are happening the way that they are. And when you're in that state of panic, that fight or flight, that's when bad things happen, right? On both sides. One thing that we want to work with the police department on is very simple. For example, working with the local high school. So on the police department's end, if you have let's say a young driver, someone who's just learning to drive, they get pulled over, whether it's for speeding or whatever reason, they panic, they're getting pulled over for the first time, whether they're white, black, yellow, purple, it doesn't matter. Do they know what's going to be expected of them? If the police officer asks them to do something, do they have an understanding of how this is going to play out, how it should play out? Because that might also help them understand their rights. Because if they are totally clueless, if they have no idea, when I got pulled over for the first time, I was panicked. Now, I will say this, not for those reasons, because of the color of my skin, I've never faced that fear that so many of my Black family members have, friends, and so forth. But still, you know, I was getting pulled over by the police. That's a scary, you know, unnerving thing to happen. And I had no idea what side of the road to pull over on. I was in full panic mode. Like, oh my gosh, he's trying to pull me over. Where do I go? You know, what do I say? Which window do I open? Like silly things, you know what I mean? Because you just panic. And we need to have that transparency. We need to bring our community and our police officers together so that we're breaking that wall down. Because right now, that lack of transparency, to your point, Anita, allows for that imbalance of power and bad things to continue. Because who's policing the police? Who's actually, where's the checks and balances in this? And I know the police department, I'm not trying to say that it's total chaos or that they don't know what they're doing. I'm sure that they have a system in place. But just because you have something that you've been utilizing doesn't mean that it's working as effectively as it could be. It doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be retooled. I mean, I've never worked in the police department, but I have 5 years in healthcare. So I relate everything to that. It's as if, you know, you go in for an exam with your doctor, but you never get your health report. And your doctor's just like, no, you're good. And you're just like, but I don't know, like, where's my blood pressure? You know, do I have high cholesterol? Like, what's going on here? Do I have diabetes? Like, you're just telling me I'm good, but I need more information. I need to know what's going on inside my body so that I feel comfortable. And I kind of relate it to that. The communities are communities of color, and we need more information.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
You gotta feed us. You gotta feed. You sitting there smiling, looking beautiful, Ms. Addie. Come on now, you got to feed it. Hit that spoon.
Well, I'm in the learning mode right now, listening and receiving.
Amen.
And I think that's what is important, because this is a topic that has more questions than answers. And everybody's got an opinion, and everybody's got their personal experiences.
Yeah.
But it's only when we bring those experiences and opinions together, and the more diverse those experiences and opinions, then we can move, kind of shuffle across the room together toward a level of understanding that is going to put some solution to this. But hearing you talk about training, teachers are trained too. And how many times do you have to go to the classroom on behalf of your child?
That's right. That's a
So
good point.
individuals, Fred, you and your individuals. The truth of the matter is, we like to think that there are more good cops than bad cops, and more good teachers than bad teachers, and more good doctors than bad doctors, on and on and on. But we mustn't pronounce a judgment on all for those who are reprobates. I told Fred a few shows back that I taught my children growing up, the policeman is your friend. And he kind of like, you did. But yes, that was back in the day when if you're in trouble, you find a policeman. That was a long time ago, I admit.
Right.
But
Yeah.
in terms of training, let me just say, police are also taught to use discretion.
Yeah.
And therefore, there are police who, instead of pulling their gun, will come over and speak to you like a human being. That's part of training too. But accountability, who's policing the police? They're working for you. You police them, and that's why we have the show tonight. Because we empower the listeners to say, we're not taking it anymore. And that's why every time there is a killing, there are protests. And when I look at the faces of protesters, I see Americans.
That's right.
I see Americans. And that's the source. That and God is the source of the solution.
Yes, he is.
I tell you, she's about to preach, Nick. She's about to preach.
You don't know when I start to preach, young man. We be jumping out, right? We be dancing around the room.
It is. Well, look, any y'all have anything else before I close us out? We're at that time, and y'all know I'm a prompt person. We get in, we get out, we do what we do best. So, Neat, you want to go?
My last thing I want to say is I think we need to understand, more of us need to understand that the system isn't broken. It works just the way they created it to work. And we need to begin to speak our, not just our opinions, but our truth. And educating ourselves more and more is going to give us the confidence to do that more. Being able to have conversations like this, to see each other's perspectives and to gain understanding around someone else's life, like Elizabeth, the way that she has lived her life and her experiences. I'm sure that I have not seen some of the things that she's seen. I've not heard some of the things that she's heard. And same as myself and Miss Addie. We come from three different, I'm sure, generations, because I know that I'm a little older than she is. Miss Addie's a little older than I am, and we're women of color. Remember, I said a little older. But that's good, Miss Addie, because that means that you have a wisdom that I attain to, that I'm trying to get to, and so I believe that that we need to continue to have this conversation and understand that the system is not made for us to be, in my opinion, for us to be free. It's not. It's made for us to be in chains. That's the way I feel. That's the way I feel. That's the way it was birthed. When slavery was abolished, let's come up with this next idea then. And when we see some Black men, walking and they think that they're free, they're not free. Go ahead and, put them in chains. The chain gang. So we just need to have more conversations like this. I thank you so much, Fred, for bringing it up. And I would love to see, it build on one another, especially with all of these trials that are coming, following the trials and discussing how each and every one of them, the difference between the trials and the scenarios that they bring up, that to me is interesting, because it's interesting to see how every state deals with these things, how every attorney general deals with these things. and how every police body deals with these things. So I hope that that's something that I can plant for you to do for the future.
It's always work. It's always work. Praise God for work. Praise God for work. You know I got you. You know I got you all day long.
One
All right.
body will help you.
We got it.
Yeah, we'll help.
What you got, Liz?
I think Anita said it perfectly. What I'll add, and I do this with almost everyone who I have a conversation with, you know, around racism, and that's try to understand everyone's reality, right? Because it's not just experiences, it's not just different upbringings. We are all living different realities, and that's such a weird thing to consider, but it's so true because it's your life, right? And what's true for you and what is part of your reality isn't always a part of the other person's, but that doesn't make it less real.
That's
Because
right.
it's their experience, it's how they're living their life, and it's the things they come up against. And I feel like if we can be more conscious of that and really take the time to listen first, talk later, we can understand a little more about where other people are coming from and start to break down those barriers, because it's not always about a difference of opinion. These are actual differences in lived experiences, and that's key right there to understanding that it's like you said, our country and its laws were designed to keep Black and brown people down, to keep them in chains. That's how it was structured. So we can't just slap band-aids on everything and then say, okay, we fixed it. This is what, for better or for worse, this is how we came to be, how this country came to be. And if we want to change the future and make it better, we have to face what's come before us.
Rock
We
and roll.
will see.
Yeah. Miss Addie, you got anything?
Yeah, all I can say is amen.
Amen. Well, you know, I appreciate each and every one of you, man. I tell you, it's always an honor to come in and talk about the elephant in the room with just some intelligence that is on this panel. I love it. You guys got to come back as much as you can, and possibly some shows that I may not make it. So I'm putting that out there. I'm putting it out there. Yeah. Y'all make it happen. Amen. Make it happen. But look, I want to leave you with a
Make it
nugget.
happen.
I love it. I love it. I want to leave you with a nugget, man. Especially for my police officers, man. My buddies, my friends, the ones that I don't even know, and the ones that I've had incidents with that didn't go so well. But you know, we all went home. Is don't forget who you serve. Don't forget who you serve, and that goes on both sides. But I really don't want you to forget who you serve. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're not out here to protect the law. You're out here to protect the people. The law's there. It's already protected by the Constitution. The people are not. And that's the difference between knowing who you're serving and why you're serving. But keep that in your heart, man. Keep that in your mind. Y'all stay blessed, stay peace. Remember this, always each individual does the individual job. That is what makes a team. Y'all be safe, be blessed, man. I love you with the love of God. Take it easy. Peace.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Miss
you.
Addie.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all.